It's a wonderful, wonderful day here at Oulton Park. Fantastic
Who
sunshine.
was talking over who?
Oh, it's always me talking over him, unfortunately, for him.
Oh, right, okay.
But no, it's a beautiful day here at Oulton Park, and this is one of the highlights of the season, really, for the Locks for Vans Sports 2000 Championships. We have an endurance race, the only one on the calendar this season, a 50-minute race with a mandatory 2-minute pit stop. So we've got a lot of teams and drivers hoping that they can make the change in a short amount of time as possible, of course, over that 2 minutes. Some of them even willing to refuel as well and add that extra element to the stops. But these cars usually take part in 20-minute, 15-minute sprint races over the course of a weekend, either 2 or 3. We had 3 at Snetterton earlier in the season, 2 at Thruxton in the middle of July, and now we have just this 1 endurance race and 2 sprints left at the end of the season at Brands Hatch. And with there being so few races left this season, it turns out that the championship is almost wrapped up. It's ready to be wrapped up, because even with 2 drop scores available, if Josh Law basically wins this race today, he is champion. So it is looking very, very good for him right now, considering he's on pole position as well. Now, alongside him, you mentioned earlier Patrick Sherrington, Ian. He is quite the driver in these Sports 2000 machines.
That's right. So I've got the start drivers as well, just the sort of detail out of the way. Only a few cars are sharing, but Patrick Sherrington shares car 15 with Clive Hayes. But Clive Hayes will be the start driver in car number 15. Number 77, the start driver is Tony Barwell. Number 20 was withdrawn because of engine problems, I think. 25, the start driver will be John Waggett. 54, Harriet Johnson will start before handing over to her dad, Peter Needham. 116, Tim Jacobson isn't here. Was withdrawn. He was here originally yesterday. And number 13, Andrew Horsnell will start before handing over to Mike Dodd. So those are the start drivers. Do you want to go through the grid?
Yes, we will.
It's a two-part grid, isn't it?
Yes, so we have the 2 classes. We have the Duratex and the Pintos. They're most notably differentiated by the fact that the Duratex have big wings and splitters on them, and the Pintos are a lot more elegant and smooth without the big protruding bodywork. So Josh Law starts on pole position for what could be the race that determines the championship for him. Alongside him will be Clive Hayes. He will then hand over to Patrick Sherrington later in the race. Michael Gibbons and David Houghton make up row 2. Michael, one of the men trying to stop Josh Law in the championship. Then it's Tom Stoughton alongside Richard Johnson on row 3. Richard is the other one of those drivers that could try and take the title away. Cars 77 and 40 are on row 4. Tony Barwell starting the 77. Tim Tudor starting car 40. Roger Donnan is in car 34 in 9th place, with Steve O alongside him, car 50, starting 10th on the grid. Josh Needham is in the number 25 car. However, I believe he's got Mr. Waggett driving the car to begin with, has he?
Yep, that's what
Yes, and then Mike Turner is in car 7. He's next up in 12th position. Then it's Peter Williams in number 88 alongside John Eiley in car 44. Ashley Law in car 73, brother of Josh Law, starts 15th. He's alongside John Owen in the newly bodyworked car, or two cars actually at the back of the field that have new bodywork on this weekend. John Owen in the bright orange 28, it's usually a green and blue car, and then David Gorst is now in a all-white number 103 MCR, which is normally all bright orange. So moving on to the Pinto grid, we have 2 Hyatts on the front row.
Yes.
Nick Hyatt, number 36, with his dad Ross, number 69 alongside him. My son's here today, and he was over the moon earlier to sit in Ross's car. It's the first race car he's ever sat in. Trevor Welsh is next up.
How old is he?
Incredibly fast. He's 7 years old.
Right, that's the right sort of age to start.
He's just getting into it, I'd say.
So Hyatts dominate the front of the grid here, the second grid, don't they?
Yes, indeed. All three of them inside the top 4. Trevor Welsh is very quick in his Lola. Charlie Hyatt starts 4th. Charlie's had an amazing season, actually. It's his first racing season that he's ever had, and he's doing amazingly in these Pintos, and he's such a lovely guy as well. He's so modest about all of it, but he's honestly...
So's his dad.
Oh yeah, Ross is very modest.
Let me just say about Ross. At the Gold Cup meeting a couple of weeks ago, he was driving a Ginetta in the Gars Trophy race and came to grief just going past the commentary box. Ended up with the car stuck in the middle of the track pointing the wrong way. The race had to be red flagged. It was towards the end.
Oh heck.
But yes, it was a bit of an OEC moment for Ross, yes.
Yeah, Ross, I'm sure in his career has had a few of those. He certainly had a glistening career.
A long career, yes.
Yeah,
and he's class wins at Le Mans and things. Yeah.
And he's still just as energetic as ever.
Yes.
Third row in the Pintos is Mike Fry in car 33. He's going to be alongside Clive Steeper in car 17, who's had a new engine and new bodywork in that car. It's basically only the chassis that's remained the same. Mark Noiro in car 27 is next up, and then he has got Mike Dodd alongside him in the number 13 Silver and Blue Tiger. It's good to see that car back out, actually. Made its debut this season at Thruxton. Next we have Jörg Tobler in the number 66 machine. It's good to have Jörg with us on the grid in one of two Royale S2000s. He's alongside Harriet Johnson in car 54. As you mentioned, Ian, she's going to be handing over to her dad, Peter Needham, later on. And then we have Nick Bailey in another Royale. He was actually testing on my simulator at home last week to get his eye in at Oulton Park again. He's going to be in car 12. And then David Muse in that gorgeous, gorgeous Shrike P15. It's a car that I always say it looks like it's been vacuum formed to the ground. It's a gorgeous machine.
It reminds me of Dougal.
Yes. Yeah, Dougal
the cars,
dog.
yeah, because they scuttle along the ground.
Yeah,
it's a sort of Dougal shape. When the Aquila was the predecessor of the Shrike, whether you remember them, but they look very similar, and I remember calling them that as they scuttled into Woodcote Corner years ago.
It's the fact that the front wheel arches are closed off as well as the rear.
That's right.
Like on the Lola, you get the closed rear arches.
It's a splendid looking car. Right, go on, you take the start. Off you go.
So, you can see them all doing a bit of weaving, maybe not as necessary today as it is incredibly hot here at Oulton Park, over 30 degrees. But Josh Law, well, he's going to be hot under the collar because some of these guys are very eager to get him going. Michael Gibbons had an electrical issue earlier on in the day and during qualifying, so he's going to be hoping that he can make it through. It's a 50-minute race over double the length of a usual race in the Sports 2000 Championships, and we get things underway now, and it's an amazing start from the third row of the grid by Tom Stoughton. He looks down the inside of David Houghton, and Michael Gibbons goes straight into second place. Fantastic move down the inside, very opportunistic. He goes up into second while everybody else jostles behind. Looks like a clean start from the Duratex. Just a moment, we'll see all of the Pintos.
Ian, can you see them?
Yes, they're turning their way through Cascades, and the top two have got away from the rest. I think possibly Clive Hayes holding up the rest of the group, but the Pintos have made their start by the looks of it, Ian and Shaz.
Yeah, so as they turn through Shell Oils for the first time, you're right, the top two have made the break. Or had, they have, sorry, we were watching a stream of cars for about 4th or 5th places, but the leaders are already making their way through the Britain chicane. We'll keep coming over Hilltop into your sight in a moment here. There they are.
Yeah, indeed, it is Joshua Law in the lead of the race, forming second place. The number 76 car of Michael Gibbons, it's side by side for third, down into his lops, and it's the number 21 car that goes through, so that's Richard Johnson up to third, down to fourth. Then has gone the car from the front row, Clive Hayes. In fifth place is number 8, and that's Dave Houghton then top. So that group of 5 cars jostling for position as they head under the pedestrian bridge at Clay Hill.
Yeah, it's actually going to be Clive Hayes that's starting that number 15 machine, and he's, no disrespect to Clive, he's not as quick as Pat Sherrington. We all know just how quick Patrick is, so once he gets into that car a little bit later, he's going to be absolutely flying. But yeah, David Houghton and Tim Tudor both getting through there, and Tom Stoughton now as well. Behind them, there is a little bit of a battle going on between Tony Barwell and Steve O, who goes down the inside as Josh Law makes it across the line and finishes the first lap of the race. 1.1 seconds to the good over Michael Gibbons. Then Richard Johnson's nearly 4.9 seconds back as Steve O goes past Barwell into turn 1 once again. Roger Donnan just behind them there. He's series secretary, so he's certainly not a man that you want to have problems with or collide with. He's had many collisions with other drivers previous seasons, but there we go. They've gone now down through Cascades once again. The Pintos come through, and it's Hyatt from Hyatt.
Hyatt.
No, there's been a spin from Trevor Welsh. Trevor Welsh goes completely around on the brakes. I think Ross Hyatt went to turn in, and Trevor Welsh has tried to avoid him. It looks like the number 33 machine has been involved in that. There's big damage on the front right corner, I think, or has he actually managed to avoid that? That's Mike Fry. Mark Noiro's been off as well. Can't quite see. Trevor Welsh is still there, and the front end bodywork has come off the car, and he's pulled it over to the side. Ian.
Yeah, so we can see the car just looking through the windows of the hospitality tower. We can just about see the car.
Oh, and yeah, Mike Fry on our screens has got big damage actually to the front right corner of his car. He must have been the car that clipped Trevor, and he is out of the race as well. And
so it wasn't Ross Hyatt who started it. The curse of Old Hall Corner didn't strike again after this genetic experience.
Yeah, it looked like Trevor wanted to chuck it down the inside and make the move, and then Ross turned in. I think Trevor wanted to just make sure he backed out of it in time, and then the back end just went on the brakes. And it was a complete 360, and then he went out of sight behind the very well-placed hospitality building.
Yeah, Ian?
The 33 car of Mike Fry, that has come to a stop after all of that. Halfway, or most of the way down the avenue, actually. Mike Fry out of the car being parked up against the barrier. Meanwhile, the leaders have gone through.
Let me just ask Chaz this question. Did they know it was a 50-minute race? They didn't have to sort everything out on the first lap, did they? Or second lap?
No, they all knew it was a 50-minute race, yeah. Yeah, you would have thought that they'd calm it down a bit, but to be honest, in the Pintos, there is incredible racing all of the time. They slipstream each other so well because of the lack of huge wings and splitters. It's a beautiful category. I must apologise to you, Mr. Soman, if I do speak over you, because I cannot hear you to save my life, so I'm going to apologise in advance for that.
Well, I'll let you off, not that you can hear me letting you off, but it is Joshua Law then that's still leading as we now are into lap 3 of the race, and I think he is somewhere down at Shallows Corner at the moment, possibly already heading back towards me. He was 2.3 seconds clear of Michael Gibbons as they cross the line to complete lap number 2.
Chat, does he like to be called Josh or Joshua?
I call him Josh. He doesn't.
I thought you might.
The one you want to worry about is Michael Gibbons.
He is Michael Gibbons.
Never call him Mike.
I know. I remember that.
Kill you.
Yeah,
Maureen will kill you.
Yeah.
She's already murdered me once, and I don't want her to do it again.
Well, we've got Joshua Law and Michael Gibbons both past me now. Gaps at about 2 seconds between them. It's quite tight for third and fourth, though. Dave Houghton taking the fight to Richard Johnson down here. And then Tom Stoughton, he's now up to 5th position in the number 1 car, the reigning champion.
Ahead of Tim Tudor, and then we've got the car that started on the front row, but thanks to a time by Patrick Sherrington, Clive Hayes in 7th place now, number 15. That car's going to be storming through the field in the second half of the race. The pit stop window, incidentally, is between 20 and 40 minutes of the 50-minute duration.
So it goes quite late on into the race,
yes,
doesn't it? Considering usually you'd have it in a sort of like a middle third of the race, but they do extend it quite late on. You can imagine that between Pat and Clive, with the difference in pace, they might try and get Clive out of the car as soon as possible. He is one of the people that owns and runs MCR race cars as well, so it's a bit of a flagship run out for Clive at the moment. He actually sometimes has a radio on him in the car and can hear the commentary live, so if you're listening, hi Clive, give us a wave. But
then he spins off when he's distracted by something you say.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Either that or he knows when he's being commentator's curse. We're looking at Mike Turner here, who's, again, another driver who's had a very long career of racing against some absolute stars all over the back of Tony Barwell. Another car that may change pace through the race as James Barwell gets in a little bit later. He was one of the drivers fighting for the championship early on, had a big accident at Donington Park after contact at the start, which damaged the car, and then they got it back out with the new bodywork. Here's a quick look at the Pintos. There is that Shrike we mentioned earlier. It looks like it would never pass a ride height check in its life.
Well, impossible, yeah. There's about 1 millimetre between it and the ground.
Michael Gibbons there going into the chicane, chasing down Josh Law.
Ian?
Yeah, and they're already into the back markers as well, the leaders. So the traffic starting to pass. The fight for third is quite incredible. That's between Richard Johnson and David Houghton. Those two MCRs were literally nose to tail as they came past me. So that's a really good fight for third and fourth position. And Tom Stoughton not too far behind in 5th place. In fact, he did his personal best lap on the previous lap as well.
Is he a Rick or a Richard Johnson?
See, I've called him both before as well.
So I used to know him as Rick anyway. There's a slow car there. Is that just keeping you out of the way?
Yes,
I think it is.
Harriet Johnson in the 54 Van Diemen, that is. But yeah, there's Rick and Nick Johnson actually. Nick Johnson usually racing in a Lola. I think it's the 492S that he races in the championship. But yeah, as Ian said, as I just about heard him, David Houghton and Richard Johnson having a great old fight. David Houghton throws it up the inside. Looks like he locks up on the brakes slightly, straight lines the first corner. And now Tom Stoughton's going to try and go back down the inside as he comes back towards you, Ian.
Yep, that's a good scrap down towards me. It is genuinely a three-way fight now, isn't it, as they head through Cascades as well. Out of it they go on towards Island Bend. There's a bit of a gap back then to the number 40 car, which is Timothy Tudor, which I think is still run by the University of Swansea from memory, or I think that's right. And then the gap back then to the Hayes car, Clive Hayes in 5th place, in 7th place, beg your pardon.
Just to recap on who we've lost, Trevor Welsh and number 33, Mike Fry. And full marks to the marshals for getting the cars out of harm's way, because it didn't seem to, no need for a safety car. The racing was able to keep going. That obviously owes a lot to the marshals for getting the cars out of the way so smartly. And it must be a very hot day for you in those orange suits. Right, what have you got here going past you?
I've got the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th going past me at the moment, and Tom Stoughton, last year's champion, very much joining in with this now, with Richard Johnson and Dave Houghton as well. They're going under the pedestrian bridge once again. They're, 10 seconds behind the race leader, Joshua Law, at the moment, and about 6 seconds clear of Timothy Tudor.
Yeah, the gap 1st to 3rd, 10.5 seconds.
Yeah.
Just keeping my eye on what Houghton can do here behind Richard Johnson. He keeps closing in on him, and then when he goes for a move, he's compromised somewhat and drops back a little bit into the clutches of Stoughton. Tom's actually been trying an interesting damper setup on that gun with Gary Gunn himself as well, trying to get whatever they can out of the car and try and improvise new ways of making it work. And it's quite an interesting technique that they're going for at the moment. But
why are there so few guns around?
Yeah, there's not that many.
They're all MCRs. I mean,
yeah, it's mainly MCRs in the field. We had a few gun TS11s and TS12s. Well, the TS12's basically a new car for this season, but the TS11 and TS11B a few seasons ago. We usually have Paul Traherne as well in his car, but he's not here for this weekend, unfortunately. The other black and yellow car that is going quite well, though, much like Paul's usually does, is John Eiley. He's right up behind Ash Law at the moment. He's on our screens right now, car number 44. An incredible man of aerodynamics is John Eiley. He's an absolute star. Really, really nice bloke as well. Great to speak to. He's worked with whatever company you want to name. He's a real legend, to be honest with you. That's John Owen, who has stopped at the island hairpin as the rest of the field streak through. He was complaining earlier about the brakes fading very quickly in the car, but a number of them have had that issue. Actually, I was speaking to Mark Navarro's engineer, and he was saying he's had a problem. As there is a move almost by Ash Law. He's looking at trying to get past Tony Barwell, nearly side by side through the Shell Oils hairpin down towards the British chicane, and he's surely going to try and slipstream in as they come back over the hill towards you again, Ian.
Yeah, indeed. I am watching this battle that features Clive Hayes at the minute, with just behind him the number 50 car of Steve O, the multiple Formula V racers, raced 350 races in Formula V, never won one yet.
The challenge for you, Ian, is to mention Formula V in every race commentary today.
Well, I can do it several times in this one, because Patrick Sherrington's not come out yet, has he?
No, he used to race in Formula V, did he?
He did, yes.
Oh, really?
Absolutely right. The other thing I was going to say was, I think Chaz explained why I'd score a green flag up at Hilltop, and that must have been for a yellow flag for the car that he described as being stopped up there. But I could see that green flag waving there a moment or two ago, so that's that explained. And I noticed that we still have the 3 Hyatts together, don't we? 1st, 2nd and 3rd in the Pintos at the moment.
Yeah, it's a wonderful day out for the Hyatt family, isn't it? In the sunshine here in Cheshire. It's a great day so far. There's a great quartet going on here between Clive Hayes, Steve O, then we've got Peter Williams, and just behind them, the next position is Roger Donnan in the number 34 machine, as the cameras cut back to Richard Johnson, still under attack by David Houghton. He's doing a great job at holding him off, but at the same time, when you look at the gaps on the timing screens, it's 6.8 seconds from Josh Law to Michael Gibbons, and then Richard Johnson is another 7 seconds at least back from 2nd position. So right now, the championship's going the way of Josh
See
Law.
that Roger Donnan has become MCR S2N.
Yes, they have new bodywork on some of the S2s this year.
But
it's actually his
that's,
name.
That's his name,
It's
yeah,
actually
sorry,
come
that
up
was the
as
point
his
I was
name.
making,
Apologies, yeah. It does. He's that one with the car, let's say.
That's a good way of putting it, yes.
CSL.
Yeah.
But the new bodywork on these MCR S2s, it's absolutely stunning as whoa, Steve-O's car steps out on the brakes there.
Ian, that's with you, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was. That was just on the way into Knickerbrook, so there's 4 cars circulating together. I think it was Steve-O that was the driver in question there. He's chasing after Clive Hayes.
Did he used to race in Formula V?
He did. Have I mentioned that before?
Just keeping up.
But yeah, good little scrap that, though. Also involving 88, which is Peter Williams, and the 34 car, which is Roger Donnan. So a good little scrap that for 8th, is it? No, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th.
It's great to see the 2 different types of MCR S2 as well. Together you've got the new bodywork cars bookending the little gap, or the little battle I should say, that we've got going on, and the 2, let's say, older cars in the middle of it all, but the four of them glued together at the moment. They've just come flying past our commentary box once again. It's great defence by Clive Hayes, but Steve-O is really piling the pressure on. He tries to get some sort of cutback out of Old Hall Corner, going down the avenue. They're just about to appear over the crest again, Ian. Look how close they are now.
Yeah, really good fight going on here. Hayes is having his work cut out to keep Steve-O at bay. O seems to carry more speed out of Cascades that time, but doesn't appear to be able to do anything with it on the run down to Ireland. Steve's still getting used to these cars. It's his first season racing in them, engineering and running the car himself, which is not something that he's been used to in his previous racing.
Oh, as well. No, he's sorry, Ian. He spun it on the way into Ireland.
That's Steve-O, isn't it?
Yeah, he's just lost it on the way to the Shell Oils hairpin, sorry.
Oh dear.
Again, under brakes. But the spin, obviously, coming from the car being on the brakes and the very rearward bias they run, they've had a lot of drivers saying that the brakes have been overheating, and because of the temperatures, they're just trying to cool them down in whatever ways they can. It seems like it's caught him out there as he stamped on the anchors.
He should have been able to rejoin and pass you, Ian, but it's lost in places.
Yeah, so there's only 3 cars rather than 4 in that group now, and Steve-O is somewhere in the distance, yes. I think I do. No, I don't yet see him coming down actually towards me, so he may have been a bit. Yes, here he's just over hilltop now, but he's 20 seconds, 25 seconds behind that battle now, something like that. After that off at an island, and he just goes past my commentary position now, and he will be down a few more places, I think.
Track warning going. Clive Hayes is getting a warning. Also, he's number 15. Also, number 19 getting the warning. Do it again, you get a penalty.
There is no 19.
No, I agree.
Maybe 91, Josh Law.
And 14.
I think that's the time that the message was issued, actually. 15, 19 and 14
that's
seconds.
One way, yeah, it can't be the year, can it?
No. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, you're right, Ian.
Joshua Law's coming back past me again for the, 9th time. Still a big lead over Michael Gibbons in his lap.
7.5 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, is that the 54 car for what is at least the 2nd time? That's Harriet Johnson, who's been lapped once again.
So, Chaz, let's go back to if Josh Law finishes where he is, and the others finish where they are.
He's basically won the championship.
It's basically won, right.
In the Locks for Vans Sports 2000 Championship, you get 2 drop rounds. So for anyone that doesn't know, your 2 worst scores get subtracted from the overall score at the end of the season, which means that if you have 2 poor rounds, you basically get all of your points from the other ones. Yeah. But if you are having a very good season, it levels the playing field out. So say, like in the case of Richard Johnson, your worst results this season are 2 4th places. That is 18 points total that you get taken off your score. So it means that you get brought down a little bit to be a bit more level with everybody else, but it can work both ways. And Josh Law has had a very impressive season, but he's also had a DNF so far this year, and that has helped him keep his sort of full complement.
So he can drop a 12-pointer, I think.
Yes.
Probably what you've already worked out, yeah.
So even with the drop scores, if he finished where he was, he would be something like 34 points clear, and there's only 30 points available for the last 2 races at Brands Hatch in September.
Right.
So even on full points, he's basically got it wrapped up already, because he's 31 points clear at the moment anyway, without drop scores.
Well,
when you include the drop scores, the gap gets even bigger.
Yeah. It's 32 points available, I think, because there's a bonus point for fastest lap as well.
Yes.
So, yeah, but yeah, the principle stands. So we are into the 17th minute of the race now, aren't we? And the leader's about to come past me again. So we're 3 minutes away from the pit lane window opening, something like that.
Yes.
And Law goes past me, and he is driving very much like a champion out in front here, controlling this race very nicely indeed from Stephen Gibbons. The 3rd place battle, that has not relented really. It continues to shine as it comes past me. Possibly Johnson now just looking a little bit more comfortable ahead of Oulton and Stoughton as we head into the pit stop phase of the race.
After his spin, number 50, Steve-O has dropped down to 14th place when he was running around about 7th,
just inside
8th.
the top 10, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, 8th.
Yeah, with the other guys. There was a moment not long ago, actually, David Houghton went a little bit too hot into the Shell Oils hairpin and locked up. That's where he would have lost that time that Ian rightly mentioned there. And the battle is sort of spread out evenly between the three of them now. The gaps between the three are very, very close, though. I mean, there's 6/10 back from Johnson to Houghton, and then another 6/10 back from Houghton to Stoughton, so it is very even right now. But Houghton in the first part of the circuit just seems really, really confident, especially through Cascades. Now, this is Nick Hyatt on our screens. He's a very tall bloke, is Nick, and you can see that by the way that his crash helmet's nearly the height of the roll bar in this gorgeous Lola, one of two prepared by Pegasus, as it's known. That's his father Ross behind him. They've got the same design on, and then there's his other son Charlie behind them as well.
That's all Hyatts then.
All Hyatts, all three.
Do we call it a regency of Hyatts? You've got that, yeah. A regency of Hyatts.
Okay. It's probably gone way over my head, Ian. I'm not going to lie. I'm not intellectual enough for that. But we've
to
got
do with hotels. No.
But the two Lolas are quite interesting because they're beautifully prepared cars. They're very slippery little things. A lot longer than the Tiger that Charlie is racing, but interestingly, in the final round of the season, Charlie is going to be racing Nick's Lola to try it out and see how he goes. But honestly, coming back to Charlie, he's just been amazing this season. He's been absolutely stunning. Everyone was complimenting him at Silverstone at the second race meeting of the year because he was on pace with drivers that have been doing this for so many years, and it was his first performance out, and he was outdoing them, outdriving them even. It was just amazing, and he continues to be just as quick. 1, 2, 3 for Hyatts at the moment. Yeah, they'll be really pleased.
Looking at the times as well, they're quite a long way clear of anyone else, so we could have a realistic chance of an all Hyatt podium, and it's unusual to have three family members on a podium together. I've certainly had that at Castle Coombe once, where we had three members of the Moore family, Sarah, Nigel, and the sibling whose name I've forgotten. But we did have three more.
Edward Moore was one of the family.
Yes, could well be.
Brother of Sarah.
Yes,
Nigel.
That may be it. Yes.
28. What's that doing there?
John Owen retired.
Oh, he went some time ago. Yes.
We've also
not a new arrival. No.
No. We've lost Mark Noiro as well, unfortunately, who came into the pits in the 27 Tiger. So 4 retirements so far in the race, 3 of which are in the Pintos. I could have got that one. It was a 50% chance that I got it wrong. We've lost 1 Duratec and 3 Pintos so far. Back with Barwell and O, and with Eiley right behind them. Actually, John Eiley's still in that battle. As the traffic gets negotiated by just about everybody, there's a number of cars now that are starting to get lapped for the second time, while others are being lapped for the first time. So this is where it starts to get a bit more mixed up.
Yeah, it might help to just give a rundown of the order before the pit stops start, which they will do. Joshua Law leads in car 91 from 76, Michael Gibbons. In 3rd place is 21, Richard Johnson. In 4th place is David Houghton, number 8. In 5th place, number 1, Tom Stoughton. In 6th place, number 40, Tim Tudor. In 7th place, number 88, which is Peter Williams. In 9th place, number 15, Clive Hayes, who will hand over to Patrick Sherrington. In 10th place, number 73, Ashley Law. In 11th place, number 77, which was started by Tony Barwell. In 12th place, number 50, after his spin, is Steve O. In 13th place, number 44, John Eiley. In 14th place, yep, go on.
We've got a car around, sorry. I'm trying to figure out, that's in Cascades, that's at the bottom of the hill. Is that Steve O?
Yes, it is Steve O, but has gone around there. I didn't see it happen, but he's out of the car. He's a bit frustrated. It's in the gravel trap. He ended up there yesterday as well, he was telling me, in testing. So
this looks like a safety car situation just as the pit window opens.
Has that ring about it, doesn't it? Yes.
In fact, in has come number 8, David Houghton.
Wondering whether...
Safety car is being deployed. Pit window is open. To give you the timing, rather than the year, 15:27 was when the pit window opened. 15:28 and 38 seconds is when the safety car was deployed. So there'll be a mass invasion of the pits now, I would imagine.
And it's not the biggest pit lane in the world down here at Oulton Park. So
well, fortunately, these cars aren't as big as British GT cars, so I think
that's
they should be.
True, very true. It's a bit of a packed old place when you pile all the GT3s and GT4 cars in here. So let's see how this all goes. We've got some driver changes about to start. There's Patrick Sherrington about to get behind the wheel of the number 15. And everybody now creeps.
Yeah, the order is going to get very jumbled up over the next few minutes, so we won't attempt to give you every second by second change of the order because it'll just confuse. But we've got double parking in the pit lane already because of the, there we are, number 15 is in. That's the car that Chaz has just mentioned, being handed over to Patrick Sherrington.
Barwell
The whole
car.
pit stop has to take at least 2 minutes. That's including the stationary bit. So from pit in to pit out, you must be at least 2 minutes, and they're all coming in.
Joshua Needham coming in, guided in by his dad Peter.
Anyone seen a safety car?
I've not seen the safety car itself yet, no.
No. Well, they may not have a leader to pick up.
Well, that's what I was just wondering, where they would position it in the queue, as it were.
Absolute nightmare for.
Josh Laura's just come past us, actually.
So he's not been in yet.
No, so he carries on. Richard Johnson stays out as well. I love how the two Hyatts came in flying formation and the two Lolas there. Very similar designs, just different colours. Looks very, very tasty. But yeah, it's quite the packed pit lane right now. They're all line astern, and they're going to be hoping that they can manoeuvre around the cars in front of them here, aren't they? Because it's very jam-packed.
The safety car has picked up Joshua Law, which is good.
Well
it
done.
has picked up the leader.
Big pat on the back for the organisers then on achieving that, because so often it isn't achieved. But then Dave Scott's here, and he knows a thing or two about directing races. So Joshua Law, as you say, has stayed out. He hasn't been in yet.
No, same with Richard Johnson as well.
And
second place at the moment now.
If the safety, you can see, and can't you, what's going on with Steve-O's car?
I can. There's now 3 or 4 marshals standing around it. Now there's a gap in the traffic. There's a Land Rover Discovery heading down towards the scene as well, and I imagine they will tow that car out and then bring it onto the infield.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't take too long to deal with, I wouldn't have thought.
That's why it's important for Joshua Law to get into the pits at the end of this current lap, isn't it?
I think there'll be one more lap behind the safety car, and that will be it. So he really needs to get in this time, otherwise he could have thrown away a golden opportunity.
Yeah, so...
Yes, looking at the time screen, it looks like 2/3 perhaps of the drivers have headed into the pits, and therefore about a third of them have stayed out.
Well, as Chaz suggested, the pit lane is full, so there's traffic wardens patrolling.
And just as they came in, the Hyatts make their way out again, flying formation once more. Nick leading Ross. Although Ross is Ross not sharing that car, the number 69? No, he's not, sorry.
No,
didn't recognise it. Looked like a different lid to what he usually uses.
All the family get issued with a Sports 2000 car if they're owed to play with.
Josh Law, I can tell you, is going to come in. I can see his dad Ian with Andy Katani standing in the pit lane as Charlie Hyatt receives help from Chris Snowden, who unfortunately isn't racing here this weekend. He's racing in his Alfa Romeo actually tomorrow at Brands Hatch, he's told me.
Wise man.
He is, very wise man. He loves his Alphas, he's very good at them as well. As Tim Tudor has gone straight through the pits after seemingly being waved down by a marshal in front of us here. Not quite sure why, but Tim Tudor now stops at the end of the pit lane.
Steve-O's car is out of the gravel trap now, so it can now, I think, move under its own steam. They've unhooked it from the back of the Land Rover, and Steve-O is going to do what with it next?
Well, the Law family seem to be a law unto themselves in terms of pit stops, because neither Josh nor his brother Ashley have been into the pits. And
Josh
the other
is just coming in now, actually.
Okay, 44 John Eiley hasn't been in either yet.
Josh is in, Richard Johnson's in, Clive Steeper, David Gorst. Couldn't quite see the car that was behind them. It's sort of lost in the pile.
I fear that this is going to cost Joshua Law the race.
We'll have to see. He's just come to a halt now. Andy Katani's looking at the dashboard, looking at the wheel. He's playing with the tyre pressures, not just playing, of course, adjusting them. Ash Law comes in as well. He's had to park sort of next to David Gorst. There's not much room.
Neil and Chaz, the recovery is now complete down here of Steve-O's car. Steve-O's gone back out onto the circuit, so he's somewhere down.
And the recovery vehicle, the snatch vehicle's out of the way as well.
It is, yeah, that's back.
So we can expect the safety car to come in at the end of this lap.
Absolutely.
Where is the safety car?
It is
just coming down towards Ian, I think, at Cascades.
Yeah, it's just been through. So
through Cascades, so it's still got most of the lap to do.
Yeah, half a lap or so to do, if not more.
More than half a lap, isn't it?
So it might just about work out for Joshua Law, but it's going to be tight.
It is. I can see him still out of the window. He's on our screens as well. There's Andy Katani with his glasses not quite on His dad Ian on the left there, telling him, look, you need to go and win this championship, mate. Stop messing about and get on with it. Harriet Johnson's just jumped out of the number 54 machine. Peter Needham is jumping into the car now. That glorious blue Van Diemen, gorgeous looking car. Great in the sunshine. We've got John Eiley in the pits as well. You can also see further down there we have Jörg Tobler in the number 66 machine. Richard Johnson is in the pits too, so a lot of the big hitters from near the front. Michael Gibbons is actually one of the cars that's been in and gone back out, isn't he?
Yeah.
Safety car is going up Clay Hill at the moment.
Right.
So it's not too far away from the end of the lap, and I think we'll go racing
Josh is
again.
leaving.
One car that hasn't yet stopped according to the timing screen is number 2, which is the Shrike of David. Do they not have to stop if there are Shrikes?
No, they they continue. It's maybe because they can't get it off the ground to check anything. But there's everybody leaving the pits now in one big go. Ashlaw's coming along. He's got Tobler going with him as well. Mike Dodd has also started to leave the pits. He's handed it over to Andrew Horsnell.
He started, Andrew Horsnell.
Ah, sorry. Yeah, so Mike Dodd in the car now then. Again, 50-50 chance. It's not going well. John Eiley leaves the pits. Steve-O and Peter Needham are still here. And the
safety
green
car
flag
is in.
out.
Yep. So the car that's the first to be released, David Houghton. He was an early stopper, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, and he's really benefited from it as well. So
Well,
we're going to give
he?
it a moment to settle out, because by the look of it now, we're going to get quite the jumbled up order because of these late stops. So some of them are going to filter in on the correct lap, and others might have lost an entire lap.
Well, the way it looks is that the gun has triumphed in terms of the pit stops, because Tom Stoughton is leading.
And Joshua Law is only just coming past me now, Ian.
Yeah.
So he's going to be half a lap behind, effectively.
Yes, so he's on his 15th lap, whereas Tom Stoughton and Michael Gibbons, who came in early...
Well, Michael's just come in again. He's just come back into the pits, apparently. He is in the pits.
Yes, you're right. He's in for the second time. Right, well, let's go back to Tom Stoughton then, the reigning champion. Tom Stoughton has done 15 laps. Only Michael Gibbons has done 15 laps, but as Chaz has just said, he's in the pits. So who will be second? Probably Josh Law, but probably, and you may get a better view of this, Ian, than we do here, half a lap behind.
Yes, well, Josh Law has gone through. He should be with you momentarily, I would think, to complete the lap. There he is, yeah. 54 seconds, so that is pretty much half a lap, isn't it?
Yes.
That he is now behind the race leader, Tom Stoughton, who will effectively second with Gibbons in the pits, of course.
I think Tom Stoughton's done the job right, because we've got 19 and a half minutes remaining. You're not going to make up half a lap if you put two quick drivers, one against the other, in 19 and a half minutes.
I'm not quite sure what the issue is, sorry guys, but Michael Gibbons, I think, may have a puncture or suspension damage. There's a lot of attention around the front left of the car. They are jacking the front end up, the bodywork's off it. I think he might have had a puncture or something, because there's a lot of attention around there. They're saying, come on, get it jacked up, get it jacked up. So they still obviously want to get the car back out there, whatever's happened to it, but unfortunately he has dropped it here. And, well, if Josh Law, as I imagine he will do, moves back up into second as Tom Stoughton comes past us, Josh will still be in a championship winning position.
Will he? Right,
yes,
second place is good enough.
Because he's ahead still of Richard Johnson, who's the other driver that could take it from him.
Who will move up to third.
That's right, and Joshua Law coming past me now. He's got clear track ahead of him, lots of it as well, whereas the rest of them are pretty much different traffic. So he's not going to make up that 50-second gap, but he'll make some inroads on Tom Stoughton.
Yeah, from what Chaz has said, though, there's no need for Josh to throw caution to the winds and drive the wheels off the car, because if second place is good enough.
Yeah, and Law is about 15-16 seconds clear of Johnson at the minute, so that's all fairly clear. I notice in the Pintos it's a change of leader, but it's still the same top three, with Hyatt C now leading, Charlie Hyatt ahead of Nick Hyatt and Ross Hyatt, so they've swapped around a little bit in the pit stops by the looks of it.
Josh Law's just on the fastest lap of the race now with a 1:42.553. That was some 5 seconds quicker than Tom Stoughton. So he's certainly getting his foot down, that's for sure. He's trying to still go for the race win. Richard Johnson ends up 19 seconds behind Josh.
Yeah, and lapping slower.
Yes. He was about, what, 2.8 seconds slower on that lap.
On your Michael Gibbons watch, is he still in the pits?
He is. There is still work going on. And Michael's actually out of the car looking at the front left now. They were pulling on the struts for the splitter as well. So I'm not sure. I think he must have had a knock on that front left corner somewhere with somebody, but no one else seems to have come to strife, do they?
Now, Ashley Law is 4th. We could have 2 Laws on the podium. So 3 Hyatts and 2 Laws.
Well, Ashley's going fantastically well here. And
is this his best performance?
Yeah. I mean, no disrespect to Ash, but by far his best result this would be if he finished in 4th position. Earlier on in the season, when my notes were last fully updated, he had a best result of 11th place by the time we went to Brands Hatch. So he'd certainly appreciate 4th place. I'm sure there's a lot of guys on our live stream
He's
now.
going to get caught by David Houghton, I would have thought.
I'd imagine so, yeah.
Number 8
I mean, we've got Pat Sherrington in car 15 as well. And what is known on the timing screen as MCRS2 Red, which we know is Roger Donnan in car 34. He's going pretty well as well, and James Barwell. So it's going to be intriguing to see how that develops near the end of the race, but Ash is certainly in a good position for the moment. In
terms of current lap times, Joshua Law has just set, as Chaz just said, the fastest lap of the race. Others who are lapping quickly, David Houghton at 1:44.9, Richard Johnson at 1:45.3, and those are the other quick drivers at the moment.
Josh just did a 1:43.3 on that previous time, so he was 0.8 off the fastest lap of the race, but he was still,
which is his,
nearly 2 seconds quicker than everybody else.
Yes.
He was 1.6 seconds quicker than Houghton.
But he's got 45 seconds to make up on Tom Stoughton, and he's got 15 3/4 minutes in which to try and do that.
We'll see, shall we?
1.5 seconds a lap. Over to our accountant at Knickerbrook. How many seconds per lap is he going to have to do?
Well, what have we got? 15. It's going to be about 11 laps, about 4 seconds a lap, something like that.
4 seconds a lap. Well, he's not managing that at the moment.
No. Mike Dodd, meanwhile, has been through the sort of bollards here on the escape road at Hislops. I think he was out-braked himself. Joshua Law's going past me again, still there in 2nd, and no one else yet in sight for 3rd position. So he's got plenty of daylight behind him, Joshua Law.
The Hyatts, I think we've kind of said this already, but just to repeat, they're in 13th, 14th and 15th places. But they're not actually running nose to tail in some sort of Hyatt formation.
Well, it's actually Charlie that leads them.
Yeah, that's
Charlie
right.
actually leads the entire Pinto class, which is amazing for him. Bless him. Nick Hyatt in 2nd place, Ross Hyatt in 3rd. So Charlie has jumped the pair of them in the
old man's last, you mean?
Yeah, basically they go in age order, ascending age order.
Yes, that's right.
A good battle going on for 4th place here. This is Ashley Law and Dave Houghton. They were side by side into Hislops that time, but Ashley Law just about holding on for what, as Chaz was saying, would be his best result yet in Sports 2000.
Yeah, David Houghton's caught up a lot of ground. He's going to get through inevitably, I would have thought, fairly soon. But he's had to play catch-up to get to where he is. And even as they head into Lodge Corner, do we see the place change? As number 8 goes through on the inside, David Houghton. Yeah, it wasn't the quickest line through the corner, but he's got out of the corner in front.
Now, I hate to say it, but the Shrike has come into the pit lane, but it seems involuntarily. It's got the bodywork off it, and David Muse is no longer in the car, nor does he have his helmet on, so I think it's the end of the day for the Shrike, unfortunately.
So David Houghton then takes 4th place from Ashley Law into Lodge Corner. He is 19 seconds behind Richard Johnson, so I think that's as far as he's going to get.
Yeah, I think you're right. Lapping in marginally quicker at a best lap time, but slower in the last couple of laps because he's been trying to find his way past Ashley Law.
Patrick Sherrington, meanwhile, is getting on with things. I think he's going to end up 2 places better off than he is at the moment in the number 15 car, which started by Clive Hayes. In 6th place at the moment. I can see him ending up in 4th place, the rate he's going at. Although that would include David Houghton having to be passed, and he's quick.
When I just compared the previous 2 lap times, Josh Law was 4 seconds faster than Stoughton previously. He's just crossed the line now, and he was another 1.4 seconds quicker. So the gap is now down to 40 seconds from 45.9, so it was a lap and a bit ago.
Meanwhile, down here, we've just had the change of 5th. Patrick Sherrington, the ex-Formula V racer, has got past Ashley Law now.
I noticed that one.
Oh, I tried to stick it in.
To be fair, Ian, even I heard that one, and I could barely hear anything through his headset.
But no, he's nevertheless got up to 5th place now and lapping in the 1:45. So as fast as anyone out there at the moment, apart from Law.
Who's that?
Patrick Sherrington.
Yes.
Yeah. No one else is well. Stoughton's in a 1:45.9, a high 1:45.9, but Sherrington's there. 2 successful low to mid 1:45s.
So Patrick Sherrington ahead of Ashley Law now into 5th place, and he's got well, David Houghton's only 3 seconds ahead of him, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right. So that is a more than possible change, I would think.
But their lap time's very similar.
So it'll be a bit of a fight.
Yeah.
And they're just heading down towards Shallow's corner now, I think, those two.
Meanwhile, up front, it is still number 1, the probable outgoing champion, Tom. In fact, he can't win this year's championship now, can he? No. So number 1, the outgoing champion, Tom Stoughton, has the lead. Joshua Law lapping quicker. But that was a slow lap by Tom Stoughton by comparison with front running pace, 1:47.1. But Joshua Law still not come through.
Well, it was 40 seconds last time round.
Yeah,
so
it'll be less, 36.7.
He is flying. He really is flying, is Josh. Not sure it will be enough. Like you say, we've got just over 11 minutes of the race left to go now. It would take quite a lot for Tom Stoughton to lose this one, but it's been one of the sort of races that proves why endurance racing like this with pit stops is so interesting, because it's not just on outright pace and it's not a sprint race straight through. You have these pit stops that can muddle up the order a bit and provide surprise victories, especially when you throw a safety car in the middle as well. And to be honest, it'll be a very, very popular win to see Tom Stoughton back on top, because he's not won a race this season.
Yeah, well, that last lap of Tom's was a 1:47, which is abnormally slow by his standards. So if that's beginning of a trend, or whether it was simply traffic that delayed him a little on that lap.
Either that, or he's just letting off a little bit to relax.
Not a good thing to be doing that.
No.
You need to keep going. Unless there's a problem with the car, you need to keep going at your race pace. Normal race pace. But 36.7 seconds is the gap. 10 minutes remain.
Just crossed the line.
Oh, top go penalties now. I missed that. Messages, yeah. Sorry, a couple of cars just crept onto the screen with stop go penalties, but they've now been taken off the screen, so I can't tell you who they were. Sorry about that.
Okay, well, Stoughton has gone through to complete his 21st lap. There's 9 3/4 minutes to go. I'm watching now the number 21 car come through, which is Richard Johnson, so he's in 3rd position. About half a minute now behind Joshua Law, and then the next cars that come through on the lead lap will be the Houghton and Sherrington cars, and they are with me now down here at Stickerbrook, and the gap, if anything, has gone out between them compared to what it was a lap ago.
Yeah.
It was about 3 seconds. It's feeling like about 4 as they come through this time. So keep an eye on that one.
Right, Joshua Law, just to see whether I missed this. Tom Stoughton led last time through after 21 laps by 35.7 seconds, so their lap time was very similar that time. It was an abnormally slow lap, the previous one, I think, by Tom Stoughton, because of some circumstance such as encountering a slower car at the wrong place. So 1:45.49 his last lap, 1:44.5 the last lap by Joshua Law. Not much difference between them.
And in the Pintos, we've still got the Hyatts 1, 2, 3, Charlie, Nick,
Yes.
and then Ross doing a fantastic job. They're even ahead of some of the Duratec's, or one of at least, which is Mike Turner in car 7. Clive Steeper is 4th overall in the Pintos. And then the Horsman Dodd combo in car 13 is ahead of Tobler and then Bailey. David Gorst has dropped down the order, unfortunately. I'm not quite sure what has happened to David, but he's dropped 4 places on that previous lap, so he must have had a problem somewhere around the circuit. On our screens right now is Barwell James having a bit of a go at Ash Law out of Cascades. Gets a really good run by the look of it as they run down towards Island Bend. This is going to be for 6th position. Still a really good result for Ash if he can hold on. He puts the car right to the inside, but Barwell goes around the outside. Lovely stuff, great commitment through there. Hard onto the brakes into the Shellow's hairpin, and he gets the job done. But Ash is going to go for the cutback on the exit down towards the chicane. No, he's not quite got the run there. He needs to be careful now because Roger Donnan is closing in behind him as they go hard onto the brakes into the chicane. Looks like Barwell keeps it nice and tidy on the exit, gets a great run, and they're going to pop back over the hill now towards you, Ian. Let's see whether Mr. Donnan can make a move as well into the chicane.
Okay, looking at them as they drop down, and Donnan is having a look at the number 73 car as they head down into the corner, but he couldn't quite make it work there, so he's still, for the moment, in 8th position behind Ashley Law, climbing back up the hill.
Gorst has gone missing, according to TSL, unfortunately, so there has been an off somewhere around the circuit, or he's pulled over to one side, I'm afraid. I mentioned that he dropped a few places, but now he's
he's got the
race, it seems.
The breakdown triangle alongside his number in the running order. The last lap times for Houghton and Johnson. And yes, Patrick Sherrington was, as described, up into 5th place now, lapping 1:44.6. David Houghton 1:44.5.
Oh, Donnan's just got past Law, sorry, Ian, into turn 1. Donnan makes that move now. It was just on our screens a moment ago, and now he is through. Moves up into 8th place. Tim Tudor is the next car that would be having a go at Ash Law, and then rounding out the top 10 at the moment is Peter Williams in car 88. But yeah, Tom Stoughton, he's still doing everything he needs to do at the moment, isn't he, to hold on to this lead.
The Mike Dodd car, number 13, was sounding a little bit sick as it came past me. That's the car that's running in 18th position overall and 5th of the Pintos, I think.
And that's not sick in a sort of millennial sense, like that sounds sick, bro.
No.
More like that doesn't sound very well.
Unhealthy, yes.
I had to clarify. I spent so many
it's worth doing.
Charlie Hyatt's. Oh, we've got big strife down at the chicane. Roger Donnan is completely facing the wrong way. Ash Law's just had a spin on the exit.
This is the Britain's chicane.
Yes, it is. Car's not moving. Now we've got a 3-way scrap down the hill, which is not really supposed to be a scrap because it's Tom Stoughton lapping Tim Tudor, and Peter Williams is in there as well. Those two scrapping for position.
Yeah, that got a little bit too close for comfort there. There was almost a touch between Tudor and the race leader as they came through, but Stoughton has just managed to get that move done. You're quite right, though. Tudor and Williams are battling for 9th and 10th position overall as well.
It was close, but I must say credit to all three of them, actually, because I don't think there was any contact in the whole process, was there? From what we can see on the screen.
It just looked like there was about to be at any point.
Yeah.
It never quite manifested itself.
All it takes is for a driver to get suddenly spooked in a moment like that, fling the wheel one way, and then you've got an unspeakable accident. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened down at the Britain's chicane there. I suddenly glanced at the screen, and Roger Donnan was facing the wrong way, and Ash Law was having a moment on the exit of the chicane. So whether Roger had lost it on his own, or whether Ash had tried to make a move and clipped him and then lost it on his own, I'm not sure. But we can only speculate, unfortunately. But I think they both continued. Yeah, Roger Donnan's actually just coming past us now, and yes, so too is Ash Law as well. We've got just under 5 minutes to go actually now, guys. I can't believe how quickly this has flown by.
We were getting excited about the prospect of Ashley Law being on the podium. I'm afraid now he's down in 11th place after the problems that have beset him in the last few minutes.
Certainly the pit stops flattered Ashley's position a little, didn't they? But
yes, I suppose.
There we go. So 8 and 15 are past me again. So that's Houghton and Sherrington, and that's not really bubbled up into the battle I was hoping it would do for 4th position. There's still about 2.5 seconds between them, as there has been now for about 4 or 5 laps.
Now, Tom Stoughton's last lap was a 1:48.8. I'm assuming that was a lap in which there was that very close passing of slower cars having their own battle.
Yes.
So I don't think, again, we see a trend there. The gap, first to second, still over half a minute, 32.099 seconds. But Joshua Law seems to be keeping out of trouble. It may have been thwarted by the safety car and not stopping as soon as he perhaps should have done, but he's going to salvage almost certainly 2nd place and almost certainly the championship.
Yes, yeah, he's still going to extend his gap somewhat over Richard Johnson, and that is before the drop scores get counted, and Josh already has more points dropped off his total than Richard does, so Josh will pretty much wrap up the championship with this. There are very, very few circumstances, if not no circumstances, where Richard or anybody else would be able to take the title away. Right. It's a shame we didn't see Michael Gibbons all the way through the race as well. I would have been intrigued to see what he could have done in the latter stages. But yes, Tom Stoughton continues to lead. A much better lap this time round, a 146.584. Let's see what Josh can do when he comes across the line. Shouldn't be too far away right now. Tudor is now ahead of Williams and opening that gap as well for 7th and 8th position. And here comes Josh Law now, 46.5 for Stoughton, 44.0 for Josh Law. So another 2.5 seconds out of the race lead with 2 minutes 20 left to go. I'm not sure if that shaker of the head's in disbelief really or not.
No, it's shaking heads. He's not going to do it. But they're on to their penultimate lap. There's this lap plus one more.
Yes, there is indeed. Tom Stoughton now very much with a comfortable gap, it's safe to say. Who have you got down there at the moment, Ian, at the chicane? Oh, there's a car into the pits at the far end, trying to figure out who that is. This looks like, oh, it's John Eiley, number 44. He's had a stop-go penalty, I believe.
The car that I've got was James Barwell, but he's just gone through. Behind him is the race leader, Tom Stoughton, who is about to go on to his final lap then to take his, or hopefully for him, take what will be his return to victory in Sports 2000. For Joshua Law, though, second place, as Chaz has been saying, will be enough to wrap up the championship. He is just heading into his lops and Knickerbrook now and looking relatively untroubled. I guess the only question is then for Joshua Law is, does he do Brands Hatch, the final meeting, or does he sit it out? Because there's always the danger, if you do the meeting, you get into trouble for some reason, indiscretion technically, or contact with the driver or something, which is quite rare in Sports 2000.
Ask Jonathan Palmer, who won the Formula 3 Championship here in 1981. And then problems befell him. He had to win it again at Snetterton about a month later.
There you go.
That's a long story, which I won't start now. We haven't got time.
If we would have started that with 50 minutes to go, we
yeah,
would have been right,
we got to the end of it, yeah.
So Tom Stoughton's on his final lap now. He's come through. Josh Law's just crossed the line as well. He's gone another 3.5 seconds quicker than him on that previous lap. But I think now Stoughton has definitely sort of taken his foot off the gas, knowing that the race is into its final few moments here.
And the 15 car going through is Patrick Sherrington. Still hasn't found a way through past Dave Houghton.
No, I mean, he got closer than he is at the moment, in fact.
Yes.
He's 3.9 seconds behind now, and he was a bit closer than that earlier.
Meanwhile, Tom Stoughton is heading down towards his lops for the final time, turning his way into the corner. He's got those two cars behind him that he lapped a few moments ago, Tudor and Williams, so he's not really pulled out much of a gap from those, but he's not really needed to because he's so far in front, 25 seconds or so in front of Joshua Law, who now is just heading down his lap, and actually is lapping Ashley as they come into that was a little bit tight between the two of them as they came into his lops that time, but the leader about to go towards the checkered flag.
Yeah.
Well, there's been a bit of heartbreak, sorry guys, but Charlie Hyatt's just had a stop-go penalty right at the end. He's just lost out and he's had to come in, but across the line to take a very impressive victory. His first of the season. Tom Stoughton in the Gun TS12. It's worked out for him, and that was a beautiful, beautiful drive. Tim Tudor crosses the line just behind with Peter Williams, those two finishing 7th and 8th on the road. But now we wait for our new champion, pretty certain to be emerging from Lodge Corner and Deer Leap. And the cheer on the pit wall is going to be massive for Josh Law, who takes the title in 2022. That's all he needed to do, is finish ahead of Richard Johnson. His brother Ash finishes just behind him in car 73. Roger Donnan crosses the line. It's a shame about Ash, actually, because he was running very, very well. He still finishes in 10th place. Roger Donnan is 11th. And one of the next cars we need to keep our eye out for is going to be the man that's going to finish third. That is 21, Richard Johnson. And then, of course, we need to look for the Pinto winners, which it does still look like we're going to get a 1, 2, 3 for the Hyatts, which would be phenomenal. I don't think it's going to be that often that happens. I think Ian was mentioning one of them earlier where there was 1, 2, 3 for family members. Richard Johnson crosses the line.
Yeah, the Moors.
Yes, that's where that came from, was it? As there you go, Nick Hyatt takes the win in the Pintos across the line in the Lola. Car 36 gets the job done. It may be a bit of a bittersweet victory to have taken it from his brother right near the end, but it wasn't his fault, I guess. It's going to be Ross Hyatt that finishes in 2nd place in the class. Now, is Charlie going to take 3rd? He is. There he is, across the line. So it is confirmed a 1, 2, 3 in the Pintos overall for Nick, Ross and Charlie Hyatt. That's a good day at the office, isn't it, Ian?
Yeah, absolutely. And with the quite significant collection of cars that Ross Hyatt races, I would imagine we'll see them out in something other than Sports 2000s, but I know he enjoys his Sports 2000 racing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the paddock is amazing, and bless him, it's I think it's Astley House Capital have offered to underwrite an entire Sports 2000 Pinto Championship.
Oh, right.
For this season, they've had some Pinto only races this year, which have been incredible entertainment. So they don't have to worry about being lapped by all the Duratec's all the time, and they can have their own race. And they've actually got a full campaign of it planned for 2023, which will be absolutely remarkable. And I, for one, cannot wait. And I hope that I'm back to commentate.
Well, the single-seater equivalent, the historic Formula 4 2000 Championship. Anyway, here's the result on the screen in a moment. Or 3. We are watching the cars making their way into pit lane.
Now, how true is that graphic about Josh Law getting a penalty, I wonder? We'll have to see. We're just having a bit of an issue here getting the results up, but we...
Yeah, well, it doesn't take any difference to the result, actually. He still finishes in second place. He's got a 30-second penalty, which means the gap at the flag, instead of being 30 seconds, is 55.4 seconds when the penalty is applied. So Tom Stoughton wins, no problem about that. 50 minutes, 39.194 seconds. Second is Joshua Law, but with a penalty, ends up 55.4 seconds adrift. Isn't really the actual on-track situation, but in terms of the classified result, he's still second, but with a much bigger gap behind Tom Stoughton. And Richard Johnson third, number 21. Fourth, David Houghton, number 8. Fifth, number 15, Clive Hayes with Patrick Sherrington. Sixth, number 77, the Barwells, Tony and James. In seventh place, number 40, Tim Tudor. In eighth place, number 88, Peter Williams. In ninth place, 25, another shared car. That's the car of John Waggett and Joshua Needham. And in 10th place, number 73, Ashley Law. 11th place, number 34, which is driven by MCR S2N, otherwise known as... Where did you get to? Roger Donnan. In 11th place, then 12th, Nick Hyatt. 13th is number 44, John Eiley. 14th, Ross Hyatt. And 15th, number 10, with his penalty, Charlie Hyatt.
That was very entertaining.
Well, there's a lot going on. It's presumably the drivers enjoy having a longer race for a change.
Yeah.
It's a shame there's been only the one this year, though.
Yeah, there used to be like an endurance cup as well within Sports 2000. It was really, really good, and I hope to see more of them. It's just they always have quite a small calendar, maybe 7 or 8 race meetings a year, so they want to make sure that they sort of don't have a separate championship within that, because then you've got 2 very small, even smaller seasons to think about. But still, massive entertainment once again for Sports 2000s. A very friendly bunch as well, so come and see us all in the paddock if you can. I'm sure everybody would love to show you the cars, talk you through them. And if you might hurry up, you might catch them before they all pack away, because I'm sure they all want to go home and, well, cool down as much as they can, because the weather is incredibly hot. It doesn't take me to tell you all that. But thank you for having me, Ian.
Thank you very much, Chaz,
it's been an absolute pleasure
being involved and showing your knowledge of Sports 2000. And the final round of the championship is the other end of the country, actually. It's Brands Hatch. Still an MSV circuit, though, of course, but Brands Hatch on the 17th, 18th of September. Well, really enjoyed that. Great race. Thanks, Chaz, very much.